All right, good evening, everybody. I think the stream should be up and running in just a minute. There we go. I'm about half an hour late for a start, which I apologize for. I had sort of a message come up that seemed kind of serious, and then the person just decided to vanish for 20 minutes. So I'm not sure if I should read that as not being as important as I thought it was, or things being really bad. Sorry to laugh at that, but yeah, I've got my phone nearby, but I've kind of done what I can, and I'll confess, this is someone who tends to like to just you know send something off and then not look again. So I'm hoping that everything is fine. Um, I will confess I was feeling quite sick this morning, but I know I already missed Monday's broadcast because of the holiday, not like because of any specific reasons. And I know, we're kind of getting in the last batch of sort of days off because of the holiday season and New Year's and such. So I did want to make sure that I put in the time on Phantom Brigade, but I am probably going to get up and refill my water a little bit more than I normally do, and then I will probably be a little bit more strict on the finishing time, which is not great given the fact that I sort of started late as well. But this is the best that I can. This is the best that I can do, and I'm very much focused on doing the best I can with Phantom Brigade. So I hope you all have a good time while I do that. I also hope all of you had a very Merry Christmas or otherwise enjoyed some time off, because I think this is my first broadcast since I did The Christmas Carol. So also, the game is in early access. There is a seizure warning, so a very small percentage of people may experience a seizure when exposed to certain visual images, including flashing lights or visual patterns. These seizures have a variety of symptoms, including lightheadedness, altered vision, eye or face twitching, jerking or shaking of arms or legs, disorientation, confusion, or momentary loss of awareness. Immediately stop playing and consult a doctor if you experience any of these symptoms. If you or your relatives have a history of seizures or epilepsy, it is recommended that you consult a doctor before playing. All right, but yeah, so good to get the disclosures out of the way first. We've got a copy of this game, which was given to us by Raise Yourself Games for promotional purposes. I'm obviously very appreciative of it, and I am a big fan of their stuff basically since Crypt of the Necrodancer, although I am not very good at Crypt of the Necrodancer, and I've not played it a ton. But with that in mind, if you have been given a key for promotional purposes, it is good to disclose it. I am not just, endorsing it implicitly through playing it, but I very frequently talk about how much I like this game. I'm hoping this game will do something to boost my mood. But as always, it's not a bad idea to make sure that everybody knows what's up. And having done my due diligence, we're going to load in. So, right. I think I was going to look at investigating the location. Now, for some reason, I was under the impression that we had completed the mission here. Oh, maybe they attacked us ahead of time? Either way, we are going to have a patrol that's coming after us, and let's go take on the enemy base. I hope we repaired. Yeah, we got some tired pilots, but not... Alright, we'll work with what we've been given. Let's take care of the... We'll use the same team. The only thing that I might do differently is see if I can adjust the... Okay, we don't have any indicators for other... I don't have any indicators for the other... for the new items, so let's deploy. Sorry, I will try to get a little more on top of things as far as the commentary is concerned. Like I said, I'm getting it kind of from both ends right now. Okay, so it looks getting negative IFF codes. We've got hostiles in range. Engage at will. Reinforcements should be coming soon. So reinforcements in 2 turns. Got a couple turrets that are going to be focusing down on us. We're lucky that the first... oh, God. Okay, actually, we landed like right in the middle of Turret City. So I was looking at this one. I'm like, okay, so we're lucky that the first round doesn't go off. But we got another one sitting here, and it's a machine gun, so that's actually gonna cause some trouble for us. And then on top of that, if that wasn't enough, we've also got another turret in here. So there's 2 ways that I can try and do this. If I wanted to go for a more brawling approach, we run in and we say, we know what you're up to and we don't like it. And at that point, we need to stay really close to one of the turrets to make sure that it doesn't shred our units. Alternatively, what we do during this first turn is we try and sort of move back in the environment. This will also have the nice side effect of giving me an escape, but that's not going to happen for 7 turns. So. Sorry, just 1 second. I got the message again. Again, I apologize. I kind of had a suspicion that this would happen. I'm just going to take a quick message and second to message off someone, make sure that they're okay, and then we will focus on the broadcast. And I'm really, really sorry that this is happening right at the top. Okay. This is terrible broadcasting. I apologize. I really should just be focusing on the stuff that, people... I don't know, like... I have a feeling to a certain extent that... Okay, well... Alright, okay, I'll be... Should be careful and not do too much drama-focused stuff, but... I sometimes have there's always something in the back of my head that wonders how much of this stuff is calculated and whether or not it's someone who knows that I'm in the middle of doing something and that is the reason why something is coming up. Because it's a nice little way of reminding themselves of their priority. But I'm also of the type which wants to make sure that, people are okay, and even if I'm feeling particularly annoyed, to make sure that, someone isn't in an unusually bad spot. So I did want to take some time to be as clear as I could about that, and maybe without being as harsh as I could. But I realized that a camless broadcaster looking at their screen in silence for like 10 minutes is not a lot of fun to watch. So I'm going to do my best if anything else along those lines comes up. Pretty sure everything's okay. But I'm going to do my best to try and serve the two masters. Yeah, thank you, Night Valley. I don't know. I'm trying to get a read on what exactly is going on. So here's a couple things that we learned from the last broadcast. Also, welcome. How you doing? The saber. Actually, I believe the axe was also failing to knock over these mechs before. We can't necessarily rely on melee doing a lot to enemy mechs, but that doesn't mean that we can't. We can't see some results. So I want to see if we get... Yes, we do get the... Nice. Okay. So I want to see if we get the tank. And honestly, at this point, this is purely me trying to do as much damage as I can to everyone. And then we're actually going to just run... Like, we're going to run out. So... In a perfect world, this would like disable a whole bunch of enemy mechs, and I'm thinking it's pretty clear that's not going to happen here. But I can at least set us up for, what I'm hoping is a slightly better turn. So if I do one of these... Does it actually hit me on the... Okay, so here it seems to indicate that it is going to hit me through the wall. What my preference would be to set up something like this. To essentially wait for the melee unit to go through, and then, we just put a beam down like this. Right? Actually, you know what? We can probably still get away with that. So I'd normally like to start the beam a little bit earlier, but I gotta work with what I've been given. So we'll set up the shield. I should also see what I'm being attacked with. So this is also a beam weapon. No, that's... okay, that's their weapon. What's going on here? Come on. Railgun repeater. Okay, that thing I suspect actually does a fair amount of damage. That's also why it wasn't doing the dots, because it's going to shoot through buildings. So 1024 in a full volley is not something to take lightly. I am going to take it on the chin, though. The shield, yeah, it's 1400. So I basically, I'm going to get like one of those to work with, and then I'm going to need I'm going to need a plan B. Okay, so next priority is to try and make the most of the Sleipnir. So I am being targeted by enemy mechs, but the question is, am I able to get shots off on... Okay, that's a little early. So what I kind of want to do here is make sure that I'm able to keep the line of sight open on my target, but don't let the enemy mechs... Yeah, perfect. So the remaining step is just to make sure that this second shot with the assault rifle doesn't work out. So so that brings me in close range. I'm not crazy about that. Okay, so let's just see. Okay, so that doesn't... I don't get hit. I don't get hit by the enemy fire, but I do need to make sure that I'm out of... I'm not going to bonk my own people on the head. Okay, so we're more or less setting up for the turn. I'm going to leave the linebacker as is. I'd like to... Ideally, I'd like to do a little bit more with them, but like really the question is where do I want to focus my resources and my priorities right now? So the last step is to see who I can most effectively target. So this shotgunner is actually a rather tempting one. We did sort of implicitly go after the railgun repeater. I keep calling them by their weapon names, but I think just for consistency, I'm gonna stay on that path. So under normal circumstances, I would love to get the machine gun sort of firing for even longer. That strikes me as a really good way to wind up. Like hit by a turret next turn. I do, however, want to land. This is not a good place for me to wrap up the turn, so I do get a bit of heat. But it gives them something to think about. So I forgot to ask you, Night Valiant, did you wind up finishing Into the Breach at on your bug run? Okay, let's see. So I'm feeling generally good about this turn. The hitting the tank should possibly knock down one of them. The shields are going to be a big problem, and of course we are going to have to deal with the reinforcements soon. So normally with quick reinforcements, we want to deal with the existing forces as quickly as possible. That's just really not going to happen because we're severely out leveled. But we can maybe see how much damage we can do in one go. Okay, we didn't hit that thing at all. The concussive damage might be the key here, though. Okay, I think concussion's going to be how we take out this crew. There's so much damage going on the shield, it looks like. Nope. That is the right arm, so we might have actually successfully taken this one out on time. Mind you, we cooked ourselves quite a bit. Okay, that's a weirdly encouraging round. So the turrets are going to be coming online, which is going to... That's definitely going to cause me some grief. But they're quite hurt after that opening round. So, first thing we want to do is see what the range on this is. Okay, so we got to get this guy out. That's pretty clear. Looks like they're going to fire the railgun at us directly. So the easy answer for that is just to move directly. Definitely prep with the shield. So I'm safe from the turrets, and then what it looks like is that I'm free to fire on this unit for, well, see, it's not really long enough to be worthwhile. So maybe what I want to focus on instead is just clearing the, oh yeah, especially because they're gonna fire on me again. Okay. So I'm going to do something a little reckless here. So the idea is to try and dodge the railgun. It's a scatter shot, so I'm not really sure how I feel about that. But okay, now there is a really important factor here, which is that... Oh, no, sorry, that's not... They're putting their shield up. So this unit's weak on the legs... And they've got their back facing my, my Sleipnir. So if I try one of these, so I'm clear of enemy fire, and then I just get to let her rip. Oh. Okay, two problems with that. One, it puts me in... Oh, actually, hang on. There's a slight adjustment I can make, which will actually probably make this even better. So again, try and hit the back. Okay, so now they're going to be focusing on trying to hit me. So number one, I can just try and take out the... I can just try and use the linebacker to stay put and say, no, you can't move there. But what if I tried a slight alternative... Okay. The timing's going to be a bit delicate here. Yeah, I was really hoping to... Okay, well, you know what? Let's just reorganize the turn. So again, they're still shooting into the side of the building. What I want to do now is position myself for... Again, ideally, there'd be a little more distance between me and the enemy, but the point of this right now is to get the short-range hits and, more importantly, use the enemy as a shield. Now, the one drawback with this approach is that if I take out their legs, all of a sudden they're not going to protect me anymore. So I need to prepare for the possibility. How much damage does this assault rifle do in one go? 1097, so that is something that can kill my pilot. So my view, here's my view on how this stuff works. It is incredibly satisfying to do the I'm a clever guy moves and like get the points for pulling something like that off. And I also think the road to hell is paved with the I am a clever guy points. I think it is a really good way to wind up putting yourself in a worse position than you would be normally. So our alternative here, right? Shoot the beam down on our primary antagonist. That's going to hit them on the right-hand side as well as it's going to hit them on the front and the right, basically. The shield's not a really big factor here. Can actually set up for a second. Now, I'm a little concerned about this. One, because of the heat. Number two, because of the... Actually, you know what? Maybe we can try moving this a little closer. Well, I'm still going to run into the same problem. I'm still going to do it, though. So, one... although... Let me just make sure my angles are right. Okay, so... Burn it down, keep them in the beam for as long as possible. Boom. And what's the relative weight? So this one is 2, this one is 2, so I think we both wind up bonking each other on the head. That means I need to give a little more distance. Okay. So the idea here is that I'm going to be hitting the 2 in this nice line. I am going to be overheating. But there is also a factor that I need to keep in mind, which is that they are going to want to... Oh, I'm sorry. There's 2 factors I need to keep in mind. It's also a machine gun staring me down there. So I don't like moving during this, but honestly, this is the smarter call. Although I'm not 100% sure what happens when you move with a beam, so I guess we'll find that out. Okay, so big heat damage. What am I trying to make sure of while this happens? Well, number one, this unit is going to be involved. This one might lose its right arm, so I'm feeling a bit better overall about this state. This is in fact the reason why I'm willing to take this risk moving forward. This unit is sort of our current focus. We are sort of rumbling them a little bit as far as their oh, sorry, this is a melee unit. So right now they are suffering a little bit from the oh man, those turrets are really cramping my style. I'm pretty sure I count as inside that. So yeah, the last couple of bits I sort of lose, but what I think I get to do is move to this little hidey hole. Not worth it, really. So this is a launcher, so in the worst case scenario, I suppose I just clear out. Okay, that does open me to the shotgun, I believe. Yep. And we know that my melee won't knock someone down. So my alternative here... It's a bit of a flyer, and the turret might cause me problems later. But at the very least, I'm free from enemy attacks. So the majority of damage that we're inflicting is the majority of damage that we're taking is actually self-inflicted. So I was originally going to go after the tank because that autocannon is going to cause sadness on my linebacker, but I don't think I quite have what it takes to see them through, so I think this misses. Well, it seems to indicate that it doesn't, so I'll take it at its word. And the idea here is I'm going to drive into the tank next round with the melee unit. Okay, so that's my mechs taken care of. Basically, we're trying to dodge enemy attacks as much as we can. If we can knock this one on its feet, so much the better. The beam will melt down the two sort of mechs in between. And then I guess we already figured out what we were doing with the machine gunner. Oh, wait a minute, no. That dodge doesn't make any sense at all, actually. So if I just try to machine gun... That's not a great range for that. It's not a great range for that tank, so what if we tried something a little bit different? What if we just sort of stared him down? Okay, that's also out of range for us, so the original plan was better. It's not great because we spend the majority of the time hitting the side of the wall, but our heat is pretty cheap, so... Actually, the one thing that I can do to make life a little easier for me... Focus on the turret. Okay, let's see how this works. That sucked. So it looks like that's going to fire something at me. Yeah, I obviously miscalculated here. Getting close. Got him. So this, of course, is why we avoided. This is why we avoided using this as a shield. And they're down. So unfortunately, this is going to be to the back. It's very unlikely we're going to hit them on the right-hand side. Oh, maybe we will. 48, 31, 14. Okay, that's 2 off the ground at the start of the turn. So tank we're not too worried about. In this case here, the heat damage we took was definitely worth the price of admission. Ooh, that is a scary landing. Okay, so obviously there's a Vulcan coming to rip us to pieces, and then a shielded buddy. All right, so this unit's going to eject. This unit's still live, so I need to make sure that the striker gets taken care of this turn. This was always a target of opportunity. We don't need to do anything to take them out. I do, however, need to wrap up the turn as far as the beam is concerned, and we definitely need to make sure that... So right now, of the units that are capable of... The units that are capable of... like, taking some of the heavier attacks on their shields, like, they're in a little bit of a... They're a bit banged up, right? So the machine gun on Oscar is who's Ellen. I think for some reason I made something about the fact that it was the call sign rather than the name. Anyways, I messed up on that. Oh, interesting. A lot. Oh no, this is them on their way to the eject. Okay, that's fine. But yeah, so the tank is definitely something I want to, if I can, deal with it, but they're not a major priority. In fact, one of the things I might be able to do about the tank is if I can hop up here, we can probably get a decent swipe. Yeah, so there's a couple of costs to that in the form of heat and machine gun to the back, but we are relatively well off as far as our health is concerned, and we do get an early melee strike on these enemies, although they are going to destroy me next turn. I'm still doing this. This is risky as hell, but I totally want to take advantage of it. Okay. So I got to get this. I got to get my machine gunner out of the way. Depending how long they stay in the line of fire. The big reason I have to move is specifically because of this this ejection. This is actually a great... So I don't know if the AI's planned this, but this is a great plan, right? Because they're leaving. They're out of the battle no matter what. Hey, Angry Biscuit, 388th of their name. How you doing? You know, no matter what, like, they're out of the battle after this. So why not make it so that it inconveniences one of my shots? So in this case, this might get taken out, but I don't want to bank on it. So yeah, we let it rip, and then I think we just admit that the full turn's not gonna work out. So one of my bigger priorities right now is getting rid of this shotgunner, and I'll be honest with you, I don't have a good plan for doing it. So this thing starts its attack scan pretty early. One of the temptations for me, honestly, is just to like walk up like this. So two drawbacks with that. Number one, the tank, like, there's just so many different things that I want to have happen that are sort of conflicting with each other on that front. One thing I could try and do is sort of go out and around. I think that still causes me to collide with my own people. No, it doesn't. Interesting. Okay, so as a pure conjecture, yeah, there's no way that works. So we do the opposite. If I set up like this, and before my own unit gets involved, we overheat and I hit my own unit. Okay. I'm thinking there's nothing I can do about the... I'm thinking there's nothing I can do about the... Okay, well, that is an answer of a kind, then. Ooh. Okay, I don't feel great about this, but at least it stops me from overheating. Okay, so we're going to put a little less attention on the... We're going to put a little less attention on the tank, because that's going to get hit by the beams anyway. I have to sadly walk at least for the duration of the fire. So then we zip. And this is a problem. Maybe not. I definitely think I'll wind up with a missile in the back, but basically the idea here is just to make sure that we don't let up on the shotgunner, because again, their right-hand side is in play. So the other thing I want to do is make sure that I can keep them at a distance sort of long enough to be effective. I guess I get to decide the angle of attack, so basically going to fire as soon as possible. The real trick here is making sure that I get out of harm's way, and I actually think this turret's going to make that difficult. Oh, I just get out of it. All right. Okay, the other important thing for me to keep in mind is that the threat is gone. As soon as I get here, they don't get to shoot a shotgun at me anymore. So what I should be doing is I should be prepping for when they're on higher ground. So the shot starts. The real plan here, though, is for it to finish once they're on the higher ground. And this is hopefully a bit of a buffer from the missiles. Okay, this will be a little bit of a weird turn, but I kind of like where it's going. So let's see how it turns out. Okay, so it looks like that thing, yeah, shrugged off the attack, so the beam's gonna help out. Okay, looks like we're hitting the legs rather than the arm, which is a bit of a shame, but... Oh, we're close. So this is a good call here. Oh, we're already incapacitated. We might lose the Mac. I definitely took too much for granted there. Okay, so we knew this thing was going to be firing. We're not sure if it's after the heavy or the Sleipnir. Looks like it's the Sleipnir. So these aren't intended to hit until they move up. If we can get that right arm, I'm going to be happy. Good. So Sleipnir's going to have to dodge some missiles next turn, but we're in a good place. Well, I mean, we're down a teammate. Sorry, I shouldn't say we're in a good place. We are down a teammate, and those legs are going to need to be... they are going to need to be repaired, but I have options. Now, beautifully, this heavy weapon is going to be focusing on this unit right as their unit goes through. So I may have a bit of trouble in the sense that this assault rifle is going to pack a punch. It does 981 without sort of any intervention. So I think I just kind of have to take it on the chin to be completely fair. What I'll maybe do is I will. So if I wait the beam duration, so what I want to do here is I want to move back a little bit, but I don't really want to change the angle all that much. I did not realize there were 3 other people joining us. Okay, this is actually really tough. So the one thing I was kind of hoping to do was just have the bad guys sort of zap their own people with their weapons. The problem with this is that I need to, like, there's a lot of kind of song and dance that I need to do to make that a reality. So if I go in, the funny thing is if I go in close. Oh, this thing's heavier though. Actually, this isn't as crazy as it seems. We'll go a little early on the shield. Okay, so move up like this. Get them to focus down their shots. So my shield's going to be shredded by the end of this, but the plan here is just to extend the amount of time that this unit's staying under the heavy fire. So this unit's off the board. We don't need to worry too much about them, but I do need to make sure that I'm contributing to the fight. So in this case, this is all, like, there's one goal that we have, which is to remove... Oh, actually, I'm going to still be firing my machine gun at them for a long time, though, so... this is probably just going to be a round of relocation for this unit then. Okay, in that spirit, I do need to make sure that the missiles are no longer a threat to me, so the Sleipnir is going to have a bit of a journey ahead of it. So this isn't great because it's wide open, but notice a general tendency that I have. So I didn't really pay attention to what was going on my right-hand side. So it looks like it's 2 units, not 3. But basically there's 4 new units on the board now. I'm kind of trying to dictate where the fight's going to be happening, particularly with the fact that my melee's on the ground. So we're 3 against 1 tank, 3 turrets, and then 4 semi-fresh units. So in practical terms, we'll say 4 on 5, and I'm already a bit banged up. So what we're going to kind of want to focus on for the next little bit is just to make sure that where I can, I'm making attacks sort of serve more than one purpose. In this case here, there's a little bit of a relocation, but you can kind of see like all of my units are sort of tending towards a fight in this area here. This unit's a bit of an exception, but this is just so I can use the buildings in between. But what I definitely want to see here... Hang on. Oh, yeah. There's one thing I don't like about this turn, which is none of my units are attacking. But I don't really think I have much of an alternative right now. So I definitely want to see how this one turns out. I guess we can speed it up a little bit. Okay, so far it's all on rechargeable material. I'm definitely taking more damage than I wanted to on this. Yeah, that wasn't worth it at all. Everything we're throwing into this guy is something that they're going to regenerate. So if we could put some heavy concussive damage on this unit, we might be able to, to make something happen out of this. The good news is none of the rockets hit the Sleipnir, so the Sleipnir is going to be a bit of a star for the next couple of turns. So here's what we really want to focus on right now. 3D into the breach. Well, you already know my comparisons that I draw. So it's got a couple of arms, but you'll notice that they're relatively weak. This is because generally light mechs are better with heat, and so you wind up with these, with these mechs which are packing some pretty heavy equipment, but they wind up being relatively weak, and this is going to be the key to taking out this particular unit. We do want to keep in mind that there's 2 units that are in a position to potentially flank us, but right now they're not currently a threat. How much you want to bet those missiles are headed towards my... Oh god, I don't even know where they're headed actually. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so they're going to head towards my heavy unit. I can live with that. Can't live with it that much though. No, this works. It's not ideal range, but it gets us doing something. Okay, so I actually thought that this unit was going to be focusing on the Sleipnir. So one of the things I'm going to try and do to help out, which is try and finally put this thing to bed. Oh, apparently we're just in front of a hill. Okay. Yeah, so right now, because we're like, what I want to do is I want to establish really clear control over this part of the battlefield. I need to make sure that the units that are in a position to sort of like bully us out of where we want to be, I want to make sure that they are, they're down or that they're otherwise neutralized. I'm not really going to pay too much attention to the heavy right now. We do have a plan for it. It's basically to take advantage of the fact that it's got skinny arms. Now, I'm also a little bit lucky in the sense that it looks like they're going to start by defending against me at the start of the turn. So this unit's finishing its attack on me. I don't think I have the full duration, and this is a point where I do want to sort of conserve my... my health. So I think what we're going to do here is we're just going to run straight to the side. In this case, I'm kind of going into hiding a little bit, but this is a plasma launcher. I don't really know what the range on that thing is, so it'll show me. Not really. And this thing's packing a shotgun, so we don't need to worry too much about that on its own. Okay. Anyways, the main goal for the Sleipnir is not, in fact, the tank. The tank is kind of a target of opportunity as I'm moving in. It's better for me if I do that attack. So what I want to do is I want to make sure I'm hitting the same part multiple times. And I'd like to think I can get away with another shot. Well, kind of. That's really hot though, and that's my one fresh unit, so. Okay. So the machine gun's focusing down on this unit, which has gone it. So there's another. Sorry, I should have expressed this a little more clearly too. So there's another reason why I'm moving specifically here, right? So there's a couple things I could say. It's like, well, I can move in deeper like this, and that sort of violates the idea that we're sort of choosing this strip to fight along, and actually specifically this sort of quadrant. The real purpose behind this is the fact that this unit's raising its shield. So in addition to the fact that we're sort of keeping in the area we want to be, I'm moving this shield so that we're exposing its back to full machine gun fire. And of course, it's going to try and take its revenge with an assault rifle, but it's going to be shooting the side of a building. While in the meantime, either they're going to redirect their fire towards me. Well, I've got a bunch of buildings that can protect me, so I'm not that worried about the heavy attack here. Or alternatively, they're going to direct their attention somewhere else, and I get to use a beam weapon to attack potentially the heavy as well as the tank, or at the very least focus on the heavy. So this is more about sort of positioning, but we're actually in a fairly good spot. The only thing I'm not 100% sure about is the Sleipnir, who's kind of out in the open, and this unit isn't trivial, but I think for the most part I'm going to be able to deal with that. So let's watch it in real time this time. Down. Oh, that's awesome. All right, how did it turn out? Competent damage. If we can hit him on the right, I'm going to be really happy. Okay, sort of as expected, the heavy's going to turn its attention on the Sleipnir. Actually, everybody hates the Sleipnir, but this is great for me, right? I just go behind this hill. But that's not how I want to use the unit this entire turn. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to try and set it up for the most ideal circumstances possible for its attack. That is a lot of heat. I don't think I can quite bear that. Okay, so in a perfect world, I stay still for the entire attack. And I can get away with it. Okay, that's brilliant. So we do need to start caring about the shotgunner at this point. Now they're moving kind of steadily on their own. I guess I never did see who or where those missiles were coming from. I guess it doesn't really matter. So this unit's not going to be a problem this turn, but they are going to turn around and they're going to hit us with some really, really tough shots. This is something that even my bruiser unit needs to be scared of, because if this thing does 1803 on a shotgun blast, well, I mean, that's one lucky defense with my shield, and then I'm out of defenses. So, what I want to do in the meantime, let's start by sort of entrenching. I also need to keep in mind I don't want to move too far out from where I already am, just simply because I am still, being attacked by the heavy weapon. This building should keep me reasonably safe for now. In fact, I might just try and be cheeky and... oh, wait, no, because they're going to be moving outside of range of that, so that's not really going to do much for me. So if I just said, okay, well, screw it, we're going to accept that the shotgunner is going to make me sad for the next little while. This is a really narrow... And it's really close to working, though. Okay, so... And it fits, well, not perfectly in the optimal range, but honestly, I'll take this for a starter. They're probably going to turn around and hit us with that shotgun almost immediately afterwards, but I definitely prefer the idea of hitting them on the weapon side. Well, I guess both sides of the weapon side, but... Okay, so the big question here is there any way that I can keep doing some damage? So actually, here's an interesting idea. If we move around the side like this, it's not ideal, but it might be enough to take out that right hand. I'm just trying to think of any other way I could pull that off. So if I do it something like this... Yeah, so then they expose... Well, you know what? That's not the end of the world, because they only turn their left at the very end of the move. This is... I really don't know what I'm going to do as a follow-up to this, but this actually feels right. Alright. We'll try and watch this one in real time, but there's a lot going on, so... Okay, so that thing's out. Okay, that was pretty much all barrier. And unsurprisingly, they are going straight for us, so... This could actually get pretty ugly, just given the amount of time that it takes me to get around the corner, but assuming I'm still standing by the end. Okay, so the one thing I can't afford to do here is get greedy, so I want to make sure that I'm in cover. Oh, it's almost not worth... Yeah, that angle doesn't do the trick. Okay, this is going to seem a little wacky, but in this case it's just going to be sort of wild flailing at the... Even though it'll probably hit the side of the building a whole lot, in this case the heat cost is just so low, it's not a big deal. Now, we got a big accomplishment here, right? As we were saying, rely on the skinny arms, and we take a unit off the board, so I don't need to worry about this one anymore. It's finishing its beam attack on... my Sleipnir, which is great because that opens my Sleipnir up as well. So what I want to do here is I want to make sure that I've cooled down enough. This probably isn't going to be the ideal location for a beam. Like, again, for me, the best would be something that lets me take off that right-hand weapon. But in this case, I'm going to take whatever I can get. More importantly, there's a couple factors I want to take in. Number one, I actually don't really know what caused this thing to get some damage. But given the fact that the shotgunner's kind of in the middle of the engagement, I don't really feel that this unit with an assault rifle is the primary threat to us anymore. What I do think is that this unit needs a lot of help. So if I can kind of go in and offer some support, we might even get lucky with the concussive damage. So again, there's a danger that I'm taking here with the Sleipnir. I'm wide out in the open, and this thing does have a serious weapon. But what I'm hoping to do is to divide the attention between two units, and then we're basically going to swarm it and try and take it from behind. We do need to take, essentially, if we want to disable the Mac, if we want them to eject, we need to take out both arms. So this is one where coring it might be the preferred approach. Anyways, let's see if this turns out. Okay, we didn't get that much damage, it looks like. Okay, right arm down, so that's a unit that's out. And again, we're flailing wildly on this unit, but works for me. Okay, so who are they going to attack? Looks like they're going after the Sleipnir right away. Probably the smart call on their part. So what we do is we make sure I want to get whatever shots I can handled properly. Oh, actually, this is a really good pairing. Okay, so I don't really want to mess with the potential for a shotgun to the face any more than I have to. But if you notice, my ideal range is outside their ideal range. That opens up a very delicious world of possibilities. So, next consideration, this unit is moving in, so what I want to be doing right now is, as long as this thing's sort of sticking in kind of the back of the area, not really doing a whole... I mean, they're doing stuff, right? They're firing at me. If I go into the wrong area, I am really going to be feeling the effects of this plasma. But I'm not there yet. So one of the things that this unit's being very effective at is keeping me from kind of getting on top of buildings and like really letting him, really letting him know it's business. I wonder if it's just as... Is it really this simple? Yeah. Okay, so here's what we'll do. Finish the shot that we can take. So if I just... So, as a curiosity, if I move up here, am I still at risk? No, because they still hit the other building. Fine, then we let her rip with the... Again, I'm assuming quite a bit of this goes into the side of a building. Yep. Okay, actually, this is purely for science. If I go on top of this building... Okay, so I'm still in the clear. Shockingly so. I'm calling shenanigans on that counting as cover. That's a pretty high angle. Anyways, I'm going to run with it. But yeah, in this case here, the distance between us and the enemy is actually to our advantage. But right now, basically what I want to be doing is I want to have as many units as I can focused on this one target, because taking this guy out on our own will be trivial. It's only when they're acting in concert with their teammates that it becomes a problem. Actually, the beam weapon's a prime candidate for a shotgun to the face, so I'm actually going to start cleaning out the turrets. Might give this unit a little something to think about, given that all of its long-range attacks are no longer on one set. So, bit of a change in the strategy, but I think this will work to my advantage. That looks good. That looks very good. Okay, they still want revenge with shotguns. Okay, so they're going to be playing the same game. I'm honestly, in this case, I'm perfectly content to I'm perfectly content to just sort of sit on this side and let it happen. Okay, so it seems to me the best option here is just to get the Sleipnir firing as many times in the optimal range as possible. What we want to do is we want to take out this unit's ability to do any damage to us, period. But I know I can't, like, in this case, I do have a constraint in terms of heat, so what I'm going to do is we'll wait, we'll move when we can. Ideally, ooh, did I screw this up? Okay, well, there's nothing saying that I have to fire immediately. It is better to fire earlier because that gets the cooldown started. But if it's a bad angle, you know, it's not enough to make me want to take a bad shot. So there's probably some efficiencies I can work out here, but what I'm really focusing on is the fact that this is, like, between both the Sleipnir and the machine gun, this is not an optimal range for the shotgun. So in this case here, we just fire as much as we can on them and take advantage of that fact. Now, it's not really realistic for me to think that I can go after the plasma repeater this turn. Unexpected, but welcome. Okay, I'll live with that. And this totally failed to do any damage. Alright, so now it's 3-on-1 plus the turrets. Okay, so this unit's really stubborn in terms of where it's moving. So in this particular case, I'm going to take advantage of that fact. And so the ideal would be if I can get here. Yeah, but then I get hit by the turret. Okay, a dash might help here. The one drawback here is that this is not, like, I'm hitting him right on the shield, right? This is not exactly where I want to be, not exactly where I want to be working, but let's, you know, we'll approach this systematically. No point in taking any heat damage unnecessarily here. There is a temptation to just let this thing keep working away on the building. The thing is, this building has slowly been crumbling over the duration of the battle. So I think the time has come for me to seek out slightly more accommodating, a slightly more accommodating location. So this does put me in a little... Oh, actually, there's two ways that this puts me at risk. Actually, I wonder if I could just use this as cover. I don't particularly like this location, but... I'll work with it. So I think there might be a... Well, okay. I don't think from here, but I do think this puts me at a little more risk for the plasma repeater. The big thing here is that this does allow me to do some damage to this heavy launcher, which is going to free things up for the beam. And then, of course, the other important factor is that next turn we've got 2 units which are now threatening the plasma launcher. So in general, we're in a better overall position. So. Okay, so tell you what, I did say I was going to be a little bit of a pain in that I was going to be kind of trying to be a little more regular in my water breaks and such. Now is the time I'm going to take one of those breaks for the start. It's not going to be too long, but I do just need to take a second to get my head straight. So I'm going to refill my water. I'll be back in just a minute, and I don't know. We'll see you then. Sorry about the absence. Your toilet broke. Did it actually break, or is this? We haven't won yet, Night Valiant. Just if this is you prepping for a dramatic exit. Okay, so we've got this is actually so these rockets are not the worst thing in the world for me to deal with. What I'm going to try and do is prep with the earliest shot I can take on the enemy unit. Okay. So then I'm going to sort of move to the side. Actually, we'll try and use the hill for a bit of cover. What I want to do is get the earliest dash that I can sort of afford to. I think I can get one more turn of that. Perfect. So the only thing I'm not crazy about is the fact that I'm staying. Oh man, I'm sorry to hear that, Night Valiant. You gotta lose all night, so you'd have to use it. Yeah. Yeah, so the only thing I don't like about this is normally I like to be in constant motion while the missiles are kind of launching, but I think I can learn to make sacrifices. So yeah. What is that sound? Is that my beam? Interesting. Okay, anyways. What I want to try and do is take advantage of the enemy's positioning. But again, there's a challenge here in that I can't go too far off of my current location, otherwise I get hit by the turret. Okay, so we're in a safe spot. It's about as close as I'm going to get. Now they might just turn around and blast me next turn, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes. So it wouldn't hurt to try and get a little closer. And ideally, just take this thing out. Okay, so a little bit less activity this round than I would necessarily want, but it saves me a big headache. So this one I'll do in real time just because I kind of want to see how the missiles turn out. Oh, that's cool. That's concerning. I don't think I'm going to be able to dodge it, but... So the thing's just going to limp for a little bit. No point in starting that attack. And then this one, this turret's down, but the thing is so is this enemy, so we should probably just move on to turret cleanup at this point. So let's see what's going on here. Pilot knocked out. So that is a weapon I want on my radar. Okay, so they're going to attempt to eject. I will oblige them as much as I can. Turrets, on the other hand, fight to the bitter end, so... So I believe that's the largest number of pilots that we've quote-unquote lost in a battle. We lost 2. Fortunately, both incapacitated, so we get them back. But we're gonna switch people out a little bit. Okay, so first of all, I want to recover. I want to recover the part. So we got some items as well. So we've got a charge for a marksman rifle. A heavy, we've got a battery, I'm not sure. Oh, this is just, I think this is just telling me how much scrap I get. I'm not 100% sure. And we've got a new saber, the Antares, which may be better than the one that I already have. So the usual approach that I would want to take here would be, now that we've recovered what we brought in, the next step is usually to just take the colored items if I can. Now there's quite a few of them, so I may have to leave a few behind. That's actually perfect. Okay, so the only other consideration I have now is that we may want to mess around with some different weapon types. So for instance, we've got the saber we already know. The arrow lower body is one we're already familiar with. We've got an upper body, a tower shield. This tower shield's not really that much of an improvement, so we probably won't use it. Arms. This is a pretty beefy shield. But yeah, so I mean, really at this point here, the question would be, well, am I willing to give up 25? Am I willing to give up the 25 in order to gain some really heavy concussive power through this plasma launcher? I seem to recall the first time I used this thing, I wasn't very impressed by it. But let's see here. So, shoots a very slow guided ball of charged energy that explodes in proximity to its target and deals large amounts of dispersed, regular, and concussive... Oh, right! This is one of the things that moves around buildings, isn't it? Disperse regular and concussive damage to groups of slow-moving targets. Experimental weapon that fires guided energy projectiles, interferes with control systems, and injures pilots at the cost of direct damage. I mean, this thing's already pretty powerful relative to what I'm bringing, so to a certain extent I kind of want to bring it, but I'm going to go for the high-value stuff instead. Okay. Recovering supplies. With the guards gone, you're now free to take back the supplies that were stolen. Take back the supplies they stole. Okay. So again, we've got an enemy unit here. So I think what I'm going to do at this point, we're going to go to stealth. So this is where we want to deliver to. We also want to investigate a location. I think in this case, I'll probably do the delivery to the logging site because we've got some repairs that need to happen anyway. Yeah, so as tempting as it is to deal with the patrol, get out of their range. There we go. So a lot of these changes to the overworld were brought into the new with the new patch, and you can kind of see how it makes for some really tense moments, right? In our particular case, we were not in a position where we could really just take on another batch of enemies, and so this motivated us to sort of go and try and like to be in a stealthy mode with them sort of right on top of us. I mean, I'd still take the fight if it came down to it, but I feel better knowing that I get to avoid some of the heavier fights. Okay. Ransack facility. Everyone is overjoyed when they see our pilots unloading the supplies from the back of the base. The woman you spoke to last time comes out to speak to you again. Thank you so much, she says. Now we can get back to work. I'm sure we'll be able to provide you with equipment too once we're back up and running. So right now that just got us hope. We are going to move on to the investigation. I did kind of want to go into overdrive, but this is an elite patrol. So right now we'll just kind of tickle the edges of their scouting. If I get a chance to something in the distance. One of your pilots shouts to you. They've spotted something in the distance. When you look, you see what looks like a person under a tree. Approach. As you get closer, you see that it's an enemy pilot. His clothes are filthy, and there's an ugly bruise on his forehead. "You've got to help me," he cries when he sees you. "Could be an ambush, boss," your pilot says. He turns to the enemy. "Why'd they leave you here?" The enemy pilot spits on the ground. "Didn't want to do this stuff anymore. It isn't right." "So a deserter then?" your pilot asks. "That's what they called me. Will you help me or not?" So, I don't know if I've just not been doing these events correctly or not. Or actually, I guess I've never captured them. Rescuing them, yeah. I think for now we'll rescue. They may be the enemy, but they are still human. So here I can afford to overdrive a little bit. All right, you approach an isolated radio broadcast tower. How you doing, Olaf? It seems eerily calm, and yet the base is picking up too much seismic noise to detect if there's any mechs nearby. Bit worrying, isn't it? One of your pilots says to you in hushed tones. Not sure how we should approach this. So we can do a stakeout, take up flanking positions, and wait for hostiles. So this will give us minus 10... Excuse me. So minus 10 fatigue, but we do get the flanking advantage. I was actually feeling quite sick this morning, Olaf, and I had a kind of a rough start to the broadcast, but doing my best. No, sorry, I just saw a message. But I'm really enjoying Phantom Brigade. Phantom Brigade definitely does something to sort of improve. I don't know quite what the right way of putting it is. Helps. I just feel good playing this game. Like the music's really good. The combat really plays well. I quite like the way this game feels. But yeah. Let's I'm trying to decide here. Like I don't really feel like the stakeout's quite worth it for me. Like this is one of the really terrible things is that they've when I say really terrible things, this is about me. Like they've put a lot of effort into creating sort of some like subtlety and nuance and all of that. So like for instance, when we were talking about the addition of these different patrols and things like that, and it's like, okay, yeah, if you move in close to a base, they'll start sending out patrols to hunt you down. And I'm like, well, I like fighting, so joke's on you. This game definitely gives you a lot of variety in the combat, and then I just turn around with my incredibly inelegant ways, and I'm just like, bah, step on them as quickly as possible. So stuff like stakeout, you know, it's like, okay, can I afford the fatigue? And the answer right now, honestly, is no, because I've had 2 pilots incapacitated and then 1 that was incapacitated before. Charging probably is not the right call. In this case, I think I'm going to do the recon. Now, the problem here is that I could wind up in a battle with 2 mechs, but it's kind of the process of elimination. I generally don't like doing charge. In this case, I don't really want to do the stakeout. I want to try and preserve my fatigue where I can, and so recon winds up being the last option. Caught out. All right, well. Just as you're approaching to deploy a small squad, the base's control room lights up with warnings of incoming fire. It looks like the enemies were laying in wait nearby. We don't have time to deploy the whole squad. You have to manage with 2, cries the driver. Quick, shouts one of your pilot. There's no time to lose. Okay, so we definitely are going to switch out. Like, this one I definitely need to make sure that we're bringing everything we can to the fight. So I don't feel like I can get away with. So let's talk about the ones that I don't think I can get away with. I don't think I can bring the gavel because the melee weapon doesn't knock down people anymore. So I think one of the first and obvious options is the Sleipnir. So I guess the next thing I want to say is, what do I want to bring as far as my defenses are concerned? So the lance, actually, mobility might be the key here. So in terms of shields, we've got 3. We've got the linebacker, the stalwart, and the lance. Linebacker, it occurred to me, is actually one of the call signs of the game, so I probably should rename that. 1336, mind you, this is one of the lighter shields. The stalwart is 1225 and the lance is 1168. The stalwart also has the heavier armor. So the only thing that makes me not crazy about this is the machine. You know what? I'm bringing the lance. So the argument for the lance is not as strong as it normally would be, but the machine gun holds me in place too long. So let's just do alphabetical. So Juliet in the lance and Sierra in the Sleipnir. If I brought Tango and Kilo, we're 2 concussive damage away from losing this battle. So essentially, the Sleipnir's got to zip around the level, picking people apart, whereas the lance kind of needs to sort of sit down, absorb as much firepower as it can, and generally keep people safe. I am, however, going to see if we can do some upgrades here. So we're currently sitting on an arrow. I don't mind giving up the barrier, especially if I get that much. So good for mass, not good for power. Oh, well, we can replace the core. It's not a major concern. And I like this heat dissipation a bit more. Oh, but it's the heat core that's driving that, so. Yeah, so my heat capacity definitely takes a hit doing that. So if I just give it a standard core, what's the deal here? So better mobility, considerably worse heat capacity. Heat dissipation stays the same. I think we'll hold back a little bit. That may not be the right call, but we did just get a big boost to our nuts. We also stuck a capacitor in this thing. Okay, so if I stick a capacitor in this one, then I can replace it with the overdrive core. Nope to the slots. Oh man, I definitely got to stick this thing on the melee unit when I get a chance, but not for me right now. I don't think there's any better. Apparently they're the same? I find that hard to believe. Okay. Huh, I wasn't expecting to find that improvement, but that works for me. Let's see if we can put a better defensive system on. Not without increasing the weight. There. Okay, right arm. Okay, I can live with this. We are going to change the livery, though. So I think that's as good as we're going to get this unit for the time being. Now, the Lance could use some upgrades. I don't want to spend forever on it, but I do want to try and make sure we're in as good a state as we can be. So currently this thing's rocking a heat core. I feel like we can probably change that to a standard. Okay, so this is the same mass, a little less power, but again, that's brought on by the charge core. So if I replace that out, we get a better... yeah, no, that's not worth it. Okay, this one might actually be faster. Although this is still a light, so I'm a little worried mass-wise. Generally, though, this has all the traits that I want. So let's see what happens to the speed. 1328, 1521. Yeah, that was better. Okay, offensive subsystems. The best we can really hope for here is a right stabilizer. Fair enough. Okay. So we got a few options for shields. This would be if I want something a little more barrier focused, but again, this thing's not really about speed. The firewall, on the other hand, is heavier. About, you know what? The difference isn't actually that compelling. So as nice as it is, we're going to hang on to our existing shield. The right slot is a shotgun. I believe we've already upgraded the shotgun, but again, it doesn't hurt to take a quick look to see if there's anything better. The shred doesn't do a whole lot. Is this one quite a bit better? So same output interval. This one's shorter range, bigger punch overall by a fair amount. I think we haven't tried this one yet though, so I am gonna stick with it. So the last question here is just, can we get away with some stronger arms? So it looks like this is a better arm, for instance, even with the hollow plating. So I'll see if I can get away with... Yeah, I don't want empty plating. Okay. I might bring back some of that mass just by bringing on one of these other arms. Although, man, there's not a lot of heavy items on this thing anymore. That worries me a bit. It's like, does this thing even still count as a heavy mech? No. Okay, we gotta bulk up a little bit. These are better legs for sure. But again, I think we run into the problem of... oh, nope, we've got our weight back. Okay, cool. So last thing is to adjust the livery, and we go off to meet our destiny. Actually, I think I made this like a solid yellow. Okay, it's definitely going to be a bit of a hair-raising one, I think. We're definitely under-leveled for the fight. We're a level 14 and level 15 against the level 18 position. We've got half the squad. But that's why we sign up for Phantom Brigade. Blackbird legs. Dropping in. Command is getting impatient. Let's get this over and done with. Okay. Current objective, eliminate all hostiles to take control of the site and rescue the defector. The enemy units are isolated. No upcoming reinforcements are detected. Okay, so it's 2-on-4 in a pretty conventional fight. That actually doesn't really help me. So the good majority of this is going to be trying to ignore this heavy. I'm not going to be able to do that reliably, but I either want them to hit their own units or I want them to hit the hit the walls. The thing is that we're going to apply the same strategy we did with this unit, which is to attack their arms. This unit's packing an assault rifle and a shield. This one, shotgun and a shield. This one's got the marksman rifle. So the marksman rifle's the other one that I need to worry about, because usually those are good at taking out my people. So the last question is, who's the heavy focusing on? Okay, heavy's focusing on my people. So here's the first thing I'm going to do. Get in close and defend the Sleipnir. Well, as close as I can to defend, I suppose. So I'm going to set up my shield just in case the... Oh yeah, as soon as I start getting on high ground, that's a problem. God, this is a really risky play that I'm doing here, but I like it. Okay, next up. So the 1 second... Oh, this is a shotgun. Who's a marksman firing at then? Marksman's coming after my... Alright. This does change the dynamic quite a bit, so I'm probably going to... Okay, so if I just stay put, See, I kind of believe this. Okay, this works slightly better for me here. I'm still not 100% sure how I feel about sort of taking the heavy attacks like this, but I'm gonna give it a shot. Okay, so I think the marksman's actually the first thing that I want to rough up a little bit. So, ooh, this. All right, that's not so good, but I was really hoping I'd be able to divert their attention to hit their own guys, but no luck. And I'm not a complete idiot, so I am going to run around the edge here. So there's going to be a lot of attention that gets focused on the lance here, but I have a couple of ideas about how to make that work. That's a lot of damage. Yeah, again, a lot of damage. I also was rather expecting a bit more than what happened here, so priority number 1, let's get back to where there's cover. Okay, so this is an assault rifle that's attacking me outside of its range. So what we want to do here, like I said, the marksman's going to be my main target where I can. Okay, so this is definitely how we're finishing off the round. I don't see why we can't try and get a little extra. Well, I can. I can see why I would want to make sure that I am protecting my unit from the terrible things coming to attack them. Yeah, I don't really have that much heat. Okay, I think I'm just gonna have to accept that life is miserable. Okay, so this thing's running after me with a shotgun, so what I probably should do is just, again, zip from cover to cover. This thing's not prepping to fire right away, so... Okay, no luck. It's about as good as I'm going to get. They're almost certainly going to turn around and attack me with the heavy. But at that point, I just either go behind this rock or ideally this one, but it depends on how nimble I am. So let's see how it goes. Oh man, that was much better than I was expecting there. Okay, so that shield's definitely looking worse for wear, but notice we've already taken out the... the kind of what our primary target was, which was the marksman. So first big question I'm going to face is, all right, so it looks like they still want to focus on this unit here. That does make some problems for me, but not unsolvable ones. Okay, so if I just walk forward like this, okay, I crash into the unit I just defeated. That's kind of long for me to be exposed like that. So if I just go behind this wall. Okay, works for me. I do kind of need to give this shield a bit of a rest. You know what? Yeah, we'll be fine. Oh, no. I'm not sure what I feel. Yeah, God, I feel bad about exposing the shield like that, but... Okay, so part of the game here is to... I want to try and get as many early... Like, I want to get in early, and I want to get... I want to get some serious damage to this thing's right arm, because it's entirely possible that we take this thing out of play this turn. So the ideal would be to sort of stand and deliver like this, but I got to prepare for the shotgun retaliation. So let's see, can I get... Alright, so I move up, shoots into the... Oh god, I can't believe I got away with that. Well, I mean, there's no assurances that I have, but... We wouldn't be this is the time to really see if you can push your mechs as far as they can go. So we'll watch this one in slow-mo. This is one of these cases where I really need the assault rifle to land every shot. Because the sooner we take out this weapon, the sooner my heavy has an easier time. Okay, it's down to double digits. One more. Got it. Okay, so we took out sort of the major long-range threats, but that doesn't mean that we're out of the woods. What I now need to contend with is a shotgunner, keeping in mind that with this shotgun it does 1277 per attack, so this is definitely capable of taking out my Sleipnir in one shot. And then on top of that, we've got an assault rifle itself doing 900 damage per shot. So this is going to be a little bit more of a kind of a maneuver mission for the rest of the time. And part of this is just simply going to be recognizing sort of where the enemy is, who are they currently interested in attacking, and delivering as close as I can on that. So even here, this is going to mean that I'm going to take some overheating damage. Actually, you know what? Let's really make this thing sing. So if I move in close like this... probably most of that goes into their shield. So if I go early... Even though it's not in the ideal range, it hits them where I want to hit them. So there's another important factor to keep in mind here as well. So this unit doesn't get, like, either the heat generation on this weapon is very high or the heat capacity on this mech is very low. So there's one thing that I want to keep in mind, which is with this assault rifle, there's a certain period of time that this unit is committed to this attack. So one of the reasons why I felt that I was able to sneak up behind it and start blasting it with a shotgun is that it's already committed to attacking the Sleipnir at the start of next turn. So even if they do turn around to try and attack me, that's going to give me enough time to hide behind my safety rock. What is more concerning, however, is this shotgun. So I've taken out the Juggernaut, that's fine, but both units are now focused on the Sleipnir. Now the Sleipnir is the faster moving of the two, however, I do have to move around the enemy unit. So for instance here, this shotgun is gonna do some damage to me. One like ideal circumstance would be to move somewhere like, oh god, I can't even make it work, but like work somewhere like this where the angle would be for like this unit to get hit in the back. But again, that doesn't deal with the present circumstance of a shotgun to the back. So another approach that I might be able to take would be to dash like this. That's probably the safest of the options, because what it allows me to do here is turn around, get around the edge, and then I get to put my assault rifle to work. Oh, but this unit gets in the way. And yes, this is a little bit of, like, I am being attacked and they have a clear line of sight, but obviously it's far out of range and I'm able to put some damage on the shotgunner. So I definitely want to see how the Great Escape works, so we're going to start with that. You love to see it. Didn't even touch me. Okay, that one did. Respectable damage. So there's some concussive damage. I want to be aware of that in the future. Okay, so I would have preferred more than this shield going down, but honestly, being able to inflict any part losses on the enemy is a good thing. And looks like they are... So in this case, like, I don't know how the AI thinks in this game, but notice how the dynamic of this battle has changed, right? We're outnumbered, we're taking on a superior force, and at this point now, instead of sort of imposing their will on us, we are forcing them to play defensively. And they're like, we've sort of switched now into a situation where we're kind of dance partners, right? So shotgunner versus the assault rifle, and then shotgun on my own assault rifle. So this is fairly important for how I'm going to handle the next little bit of the turn. I'm not going to dodge. Ooh, I really should have thought that one through. So the original plan was going to be to try and sneak behind these rocks, but I don't think that's a possibility now. So my second best is to take a little bit of damage, hide behind the rocks here, and then move on. Now, what I do need to do by the end of this turn is make sure that I've got a better hiding spot planned. So what we do for starters... Okay. This is as close as I'm getting to protection. And then what I'm going to be doing this turn is moving behind this rock. So all of my other actions are going to be built around getting to this this position of safety. So one thing that's really apparent here is that I'm not going to be able to fire. So the one case where I can fire is here. That kind of generates a lot of heat for me, so that's not a wise choice. I guess this last little tail end here lets me... Well, now, you know what, let's focus on what we can accomplish rather than sort of some ideals. So that's why we have a sidearm in the first place. Okay, so that keeps us within our heat. That's all where it needs to be. So now there's another thing that I want to keep in mind, which is, so we've got this unit which is moving now. They've effectively taken themselves out of the fight for this particular round. So one thing that I can do is I can say, well, I'm not going to play by your rules, and I'm going to, just dash my way up to, up to the shotgunner. Now, as it is, like, this is still too slow moving to really be able to get away with that. But to me, like, one thing I always like to keep in mind in games like this is that, like, just because the AI... Like, the AI has a very clear plan about what it's going to be doing this turn. That doesn't mean that I have to play by the AI's, plans. So one thing I'm actually going to start doing is I'm going to start closing the gap because my assault rifle may need some help. I'm not going to fully commit to that, though, because I think there's going to be a little window in which... Yeah. My weapon's got a short enough firing window that I can make something happen out of that. Notice too that we're near our rocks, so in this case I'm in a good position to hide if the circumstances require it. So for starters, let's see how we handle the attack. Okay, definitely got dinged a little bit, but nothing too critical yet. Okay, right arm down, so that one's out of commission. So now it's 2-on-1. We've completely altered the battle. So I'm assuming they're just going to be chasing down the Sleipnir. So here's what I want to do. I'm not going to be able to change who they're attacking. All that I'm going to be able to change is where I am relative to the attack. What I do get to do, though, is focus on where this unit is moving. So in this case, I want to put myself in the thick of it. They are more or less starting their turn on the attack, but I am going to take advantage of the circumstances, and so I'll sort of move back for starters, just to maximize the duration of this shot, and then kind of take a hard turn. Ooh, that's risky, but I'm still going for it. Okay, so little dings here and there. Oh my god! I was not expecting that. I thought this guy ejected already. Yeah, I was not expecting the counterattack to just completely wipe this guy out. Alright, well, we're done. Thank you, Olaf. Hey, I got a nice... And, sorry, is it A10 gold? Thank you very much. Yeah, that was a fun one. I will confess, I don't know 100% what my favorite encounters are, but I think some of the ones where you start off outnumbered. So, like, this one, the only thing I'm not as crazy about on this one is that there are a couple of times in this game where you're given... Hey, Riley, how you doing? Thank you very much. I'm also particularly happy that that song was playing while I was doing it. So for those of you who do not know, we have the composer of this wonderful soundtrack. By the way, I've not forgotten your Discord message. I've actually been using my Apple Music to familiarize myself with some of the composers that haven't. It's really interesting to know... It's really interesting to know some of those composers, because I'm definitely sort of picking up a few flavors. I would actually even maybe venture a guess in terms of if you had to pick amongst the favorites, some of the ones that would count amongst your favorites. But This has actually been such an enjoyable little diversion for myself that I totally have not been sharing the musical journey. But anyways, for those of you who don't know, Riley Koning, I hope I got the pronunciation correct, is the incredibly talented composer behind Phantom Brigade. So there's a lot of things. Azure Wind, who's probably still playing this, Azure Wind talks a lot about the animation, and rightly so. This game looks incredible. But of course, a major part of this game is the overall experience, right? The highs and the lows. And I mean, one of the things I keep saying about this game, and I think it's broadly accepted, this is kind of a big selling feature of the game, is how cinematic it is. And you clearly cannot have a cinematic game without a score to back it up. So for those of you who like it and for whatever reason either already own or are waiting to buy Phantom Brigade, you can get an early version of the soundtrack here. And I do strongly encourage you also to just check out his overall Bandcamp, because Phantom Brigade is far from the first game he's worked on. Unless you started really early on Phantom Brigade and you did some of the others. But no, this is I really enjoy listening to this to the music on here. Once my credit card cycles, I should actually probably pick up some belated Christmas gifts off of this. But definitely have a very, very big recommendation, and in particular because there's actually, I think for film, there's a widely accepted detail that, or not detail, but kind of it's widely acknowledged that sound is often underappreciated in how it creates the experience. So like Ben Burt and Star Wars, right? There's such a distinct sound to Star Wars movies and Star Wars games. But it's not, nobody like really thinks of the sound people behind that. The score is obviously a very famous one. And certainly soundtracks get quite a bit more attention. So, for instance, you'd probably say you'd know names like John Williams or Hans Zimmer or what have you. But with that in mind, in terms of games, I don't know whether or not that's the same. I don't know whether or not there's quite the same, names or I don't quite know what I'm trying to say. But with that in mind, I just kind of wanted to say that Phantom Brigade is a hell of a lot of fun to play. It looks amazing. But definitely for me, especially because you've all seen the clips, you've all seen the different you've all seen the different moments. There is definitely quite a bit that's being added to it just by sort of the game communicating to you through music, and particularly the emotions that it brings up. So 2016, oh wow, I know I think the EP for the PAX was the 2019 one, but. Anyways, nothing great. I mean, for all we fought, it's not a lot of high value items here. So here's what we'll do. Let's grab the weapons that we don't already own. Or our potential upgrades. Like the assault rifle might be an upgrade here, although it's got a minus death. Actually, no, there's no way that's an upgrade for us. And I think the rest of it, we just scrap it. Oh yeah, I should have worked that through a little more carefully. There we go. Hey Carlo, how you doing? Defector rescued. Your squad emerges victorious, though tired from battle. The Defector is safe, and you're able to rescue her from the station.
I didn't know if you'd get to me in time, she says, relief evident in her face. I promised information in exchange for this extraction, didn't I? She hands you a sheaf of paper and you unroll them to find valuable industrial blueprints. She's also brought some supplies from the station with her. So... here we go. So we've got... So I've always kind of wondered what the defector winds up giving you. So we have the supplies, but now those all-important charges are part of the deal as well. Okay, so I'm going to do something a little... no, sorry. Before I do that, I'm going to do the repairs. But following that, I'm actually going to try and equip more of the mechs with some items, and that's going to be so that I can start scrapping some of the higher value items and maybe build some better ones. So let's not take on the convoy. We could take... Oh wow, there's a couple convoys. I mean, the convoy maps are fun. But let's reclaim the province. Ooh, patrol doesn't seem to be reacting to me. Okay. So this is going to involve a little bit of me sort of dancing around the screen for a little bit. Actually, tell you what, I'm sorry to do this again, but now is not a bad time for me to... Again, I'm still feeling a little sick from this morning, particularly just very cloudy in terms of my thinking. So I am going to take a quick second here. I haven't quite finished my water, but I'm going to refill it nonetheless. And I'm just generally going to get a little stretch and all of that in. So I encourage you all to do the same. I can't believe it's been 2 hours already. This game really flies by. But I will be back in just a moment. I encourage you all to do the same. Just get a quick stretch, especially if you've been in front of the computer for a bit. And we'll be able to get at least one more mission in, if not two. So I'll see you all in a little bit. Okay, my apologies for that. So one of the reasons why I'm going to be going through this window for starters is I want to try and get my mechs to their sort of their top loadouts, but then I want to go into the inventory and really get kind of brutal in terms of dismantling a lot of weapons. And this is just going to be so that we'll get some charges for stuff that we can build inside the workshop. I haven't been taking advantage of the workshop for the simple reason that, let's say I wanted to build... do I not have a assault rifle? Yeah, I've got one here. Normally I'd want to build a rare one here, right? But it also requires a certain number of rare components. And that's... that's what I'm really behind on right now. So if I'm going to be building some replacements, I kind of want to make sure that they're... that they're worthwhile ones. They're good. Actually, also, I suppose there's a question about this level. The more provinces that have been liberated, the higher level of equipment the workshop can manufacture. Oh, that's really interesting. So one of the things I've been trying lately has been to run around higher level province. I mean, part of this is just for the challenge, right? To go to the highest level province that is adjacent to the province I'm currently in. But because I haven't liberated that many provinces... the level of weapons that I'm building are actually considerably lower than what I currently have. Interesting. So maybe I just won't be using the workshop at all on this run. Sorry, I said I was going to be working on my units. Anyways, so the Sleipnir... Oh, actually, hang on. Then there's another important detail, which is the Sleipnir is already as good as it can be. It's actually the other ones that I need to worry about. So let's start with a Stalwart. For most of this, it should be... Okay, so the core... Yeah, so other than the fact I want to replace the core, I think this is the right one to go with. So originally it was a launch. It makes the dissipation go down, so if we just put a standard core in there, we'd lose some speed. We'd lose quite a bit of speed, actually. Let's try that for now. I may have to change my view. Oh man, I haven't even been playing with... I keep forgetting there's so much more customization that's been added to this, so... Right targeting is not too bad, actually. Okay, I'll stick with kind of what I know already. I don't think these shields quite do it for me. So is there a better machine gun? Not really. So quite a few improvements here. The only catch is that they make the mass go up a little bit, and they did just give up some power. Then again, this is intended to be a little bit more of a defensive mech, so... Oh, but see, I'd be exchanging it mostly for heat dissipation, which is really not... I don't know, like... Heat dissipation isn't exactly the thing I need on this unit. Oh, but the basic plating... Okay, actually no, this is... this is the fix. Oh, darn it. I can't put empty on it. I might need to mess with the power again. Okay, I'm gonna stick with this. God. It's got a gyro. Oh, actually that probably fixes it for me then. Nope. It does the opposite. Yeah, 12 is already quite a sacrifice. So I can see these legs working. Okay, I think I know how I'm going to handle this. So we'll stick the bean legs on. The biggest thing right now is that I've got more than my fair share of dissipation on this. So what I probably want to focus on now is to trade off... I want to try and get some extra power. Oh yeah, so I think this means I go back to the launch core, actually. Alright, well, you know what? Oh, and then I messed up because apparently my weight is off again. So I could give it the tough Helga legs. That makes everything worse. Yeah, well, we'll work with that. Okay, we already upgraded the lance. The gavel is one that I want to improve, so... I believe the Antares Mark II was the big, beautiful sword that we picked up as a mission reward. So I don't want to be messing around too much with the mass here, unless I can get power in exchange as well. We're on a launch core, which is probably not going to be happening. So we'll just leave those be. We already picked... I guess, unless I wanted to do something with the handgun, probably not. So left arms, let's just see if there's... Okay, so we do have a couple of integrity boosts, but nothing... Like it's all the same story here. We're trading off in exchange for mass. And while I would like to get some stronger arms on this thing, the mobility is what makes it effective, both as a both as a combatant, but also in terms of defense. But this seems to be a pure improvement. Okay, so I could replace the... So I think, actually, this would be an interesting test. So I could add 1.5 power, or I could remove 1.5 mass. Now I believe here, this would not be equivalent. So let's just take a quick look and see what happens to the speed when we do that. Oh, no, they are. Now, this might be the wrong way for me thinking about this, but personally, I actually think if it becomes a trade-off between mass and power, it's actually better to have high power, high mass than it is to have low power, low mass. Because, of course, if all things be... Why do you want lighter mechs? Well, generally because lighter mechs are more capable in terms of just maneuvering around the battlefield, and this is what's worked really well for me. But if I can have that same maneuverability, but at a higher weight class, it also means that I just get to walk over enemies. So, anyways, something for me to consider next, in future. I don't want to spend too much time meditating on that right now. Okay, so some of the lesser used mechs in my group right now. The hammer, the longbow, and the linebacker. Let's mess with the linebacker first. So tempting because of the barrier, but not so good based on the heat dissipation, or possibly capacity. Yeah, so we're just going to leave that be. The left slot, unless we can get a better shield. I mean, it's a tempting one, right? It's a big barrier on it, but generally I'm not crazy about the... Well, I don't know. The more I think of it... No. This stance is still the right call. Firewall, on the other hand, this is a trickier call. Like, it's... Well, there's a couple things I can do to improve this. Oh, maybe I can't. That makes it too slow. Alright, that is a little bit of a shame. I really thought I was going to be able to do more with that. I don't think we have a better beam weapon, so... Yeah, we'll just leave that. I'm very reluctant. Okay, so this is a tricky one because I'm very reluctant to add more weight on my mech. But if it gives me heat dissipation, that becomes tempting. Heat dissipation or heat capacity. So this Nox is actually a really good option. An improved regenerator. We'll leave it. Okay. That's weird that it says the right arm's colored this way when it obviously isn't. I wonder if there's any way we can... I was thinking maybe like more in the middle we could mess around with it a bit, but I don't think that's actually going to work out. Anyways, that's fine. We got what we needed from our linebacker, so on to the longbow. So we are kind of getting close to the bottom of what we've got in the team right now. This Nox is kind of tempting. The only thing I'm not crazy about is it's really high. It's a really big hit to heat dissipation. Let's see if there's any other alternatives. Nope. Let's try it with this at least. So we've got a compact launcher, which doesn't seem to be as interesting as the other. Same story here. We just want to see if we've got a better... Oh, okay. So this baseline's an improvement. There might also be just a full-on sniper. Okay, let's filter... Let's start by filtering on the marksman, and then I may consider snipers as well. So 1511 on a marksman compared to 1924. I mean, it's gray, but it's not like that's not the end. I think the only thing that maybe worries me a little bit is the 5 shots. Okay, really quick check along these ones. We do have some decent speed on this mech, so I should be willing to give up a little bit of speed if I can translate that into a big advance. Oh god, yeah. In fact, this is probably the one unit that will actually use this. Yeah, we're still at 17, so that's... I think at this point we just give it a full... Yeah, so... I mean, biggest thing is we've brought this up to level 15, so there's probably some room for improvement here, but this works. So I guess the hammer's the last one. So the hammer is a tricky one just because, again, we want to keep it light and capable of managing... like, it's got to manage its heat. So I guess the first thing that I want to do is, if we're working with a heavy, let's just limit ourselves to those heavy weapons. So there's 2048. Okay, so this Vulcan is clearly better. So Time for an upgrade there. Now, if I recall correctly, there was possibly one other... I don't remember if there's 2 classes of heavy now, or if it's just there's 2 different weapons. Okay, it looks like it all falls under heavy, so I'll probably adjust the livery on that. So essentially, we're already very heavy here. So essentially, if we can get better heat capacity, dissipation, integrity, or mass, but generally I need to be getting more than I give. Yeah, and I think it's pretty clear here that there might have been some parts that would have worked like that, but we've since put them on other mechs, which is fine. We don't use this one all that much. I had this red and gold. Was it the Spec Ops? Doesn't seem right. That's what it looked like. Okay. So the last thing that I want to consider here is I'm not completely committed to having another mech quite yet. But I guess the question would be, if I were to add another mech along these lines, what would I do? So one possible candidate would be something that is focused on missiles, right? So we've got the compact launcher here. The thing is, the compact launcher is more of like a sidearm. 360 damage really isn't going to be cutting that right now. The plasma repeater is also sort of tempting. The question is, do I want to make the plasma repeater the basis of a new mech to add to the team and try and make some decisions about, or do I just simply make that a weapon that I kind of put into or take out of an existing mech? It's like, honestly, I don't have a good answer to most of that. I guess the one thing I could afford to do, I do have this body already, right? So it actually would kind of make sense for me to have a mech with a set of weapons and body parts, and then just start scrapping the rest. So I suppose let's take that. So we'll take this for granted that we're going to build a mech no matter what. So I'll start with a plasma repeater. Okay, I guess I need to add a right arm. I mean, I could just start it with the Nox arm and see where the rest goes. Okay, so starting with the plasma repeater, which on paper doesn't seem that impressive. Oh, hang on, this probably isn't the same weapon that did my character. Now, you know what? Let's just hang on to this and see what it does. Okay. So what are the stats on this thing? Let's compare it to something that we know, like an assault rifle. So better at heat generation. Okay, so yeah, let's just treat that as a... Maybe a long-range assault rifle is how we want to think about this thing right now. Sorry, this is... other than equipping this weapon, I didn't really have any plans for what I was going to do with this thing, so... I don't really see a lot of sense in giving it a shield, so we probably want something... I guess we can stick this compact launcher on it. Or, I mean... This will be interesting. Melee sidearm. So that's a pretty respectable speed on its own without any other adjustments. So the thing is, the rest of these wind up being... like, this one gets fairly impressive. Like, I don't know, just by comparison, right? Like, we're getting a little bit of power, but giving up a lot of mass and such for it. I don't know. It's I don't really like just kind of slapping everything together like this, but this does kind of work. I guess we already have one sort of experimental looking one. Oh, reserves is not a bad look. Yeah, you know what? Doesn't look too bad. Okay. Now I gotta give this thing a name. Oh god. I wasn't planning on making a mech today. Okay, so this is the real reason why I wanted to do this stuff. So I think we can sort by level, but it's still sorted like within categories. So I think the first thing I want to do is if it's gray and it's not unique. Like, so if let's start. Yeah, here's what we'll do. If it's single digits, gray and not unique. We gotta scrap it. I'll probably get a little bit more. I'll probably get a little more strict in terms of what I'm including, moving on. But I don't want to wind up removing stuff that I kind of later regret. So like the incendiary repeater we keep because it's unique. Okay, and scrap and detach. Okay, so I mean, there's still a ton of stuff that we want to work through, right? But this has at least given us our kind of like a first taste. Actually, here's maybe another step that we can do. We've already kind of gone through all of the units. So the hammer's the lowest level at 13. What's the lowest level part that it's carrying? So it's got a 17, 18. Okay. So maybe I actually, with the inventory, what I do is I say anything less than 13. Yeah, we did, actually, you know what, honestly, we did just go through a whole bunch of, we just went through a whole bunch of parts that we said, you know what, we don't need to worry about these. So there's a couple I'll hold back. More is kind of like just nice to have backups. And then for things like melee weapons, I might want to be a little more careful. Okay, this is starting to look a little bit better. So the last thing that I want to take a look at is what kind of parts I'm working with. So for instance, we have a lot of shields. These kind of, I guess, have earned their spot. Destabilizing and concussive. This is 19, so I'll hang on to it for a bit, but these do quite a bit of damage, so they're worth hanging on to. Really not sure about this compact launcher. You know what? Let's scrap that. I just don't see myself using that. This sniper rifle isn't as good as the gray, so if I want to switch to that... this baseline I think we just replaced. I'll hang on to it for a little while, but there's no reason on hanging on to this midway. So this axe, destabilizing, they're probably both the same thing, but these ones I kind of want to see in action. Okay, so I think, well, I did get rid of the compact launcher for the same reason, so... Okay, feeling a lot better about these. And under normal circumstances, where I would have gone after this would be to start making some of these more, you know, exotic parts, but it seems like we're going to be getting level 11s out of that. So I may want to wait a little while until I have something that's really going to compel me. Like if we're in level 18 territory, taking more fights is going to be the way that I can get better gear, not building it. So a little overdrive to close the distance. So I'm assuming the red ring is their detection. Gear up. At your order, the base flies into action and prepares for a fight. An engineer sprints through the bay, toward the bay to check on the guns. A passing scout relaying combat data through the radio. They're shouting everywhere. At your side, someone's leg bounces and up and down, boot heel tapping on the grate. You feel eyes on you, awaiting your command. Suit up. Okay. So, clean slate. Tango and Kilo are still recovering. Well, actually, with that in mind, I could have brought... We'll clear it all out. Okay, so Sleipnir's definitely in the squad. I needed at least one big bruiser with a... Okay, we'll bring the Stalwart in. I would like to play around a little bit with some of my new mechs. The question is, like, how inventive do I really want to get? I definitely want to bring the Gavel in. So let's try the Artemis. Okay, so now we'll load in the pilots. Alright, so this gives Kilo and Tango a chance to rest up a little bit. Gavel's definitely the most fragile, but let's see how it goes. I did want to bring the hammer in, but I don't want to get too experimental with the mechs. I do like that. So the names are just sort of something that I would only ever pay attention to on the map, but in this setup, like I really like the one. I just like the look, but you know, the time, the place, like it does a little bit more to establish things. I like that touch. Command: Rebel units just entered visual range. I'm outnumbered. Requesting rapid response team ASAP. I don't think we're outnumbered, or they're outnumbered, but. Okay, so marksman rifle on a tank, that's probably going to make me sad. I don't think that is one... Oh, nope, it can elevate itself, so that's one to keep an eye on. We've got shotgunner with a shield. Lots of people with shields. And then beam and a compact launcher, so I might want to be a little careful about the beam. So then the next question is, who do they hate? So it looks like quite a bit of attention going on the melee unit. I can actually live with that, though. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to run the melee unit right up at the front. not quite what I had in mind. Okay. So here's the alternative. So what I'm trying to do is close the... I am a bit worried about what this will mean marksman-wise, but I also want to see how I kind of want to see how this mech performs, so. I have a feeling, though, that I'm going to take quite a bit more damage than I'm actually willing to take. Okay, so first thing I got to do is get people out of the way so that my mech can do its thing. I suppose the other question would be, who do I want to prioritize in terms of attacks? So this unit's got a shotgun, and it's actually closing the distance pretty quickly. So I'm going to hold off making a decision on this one. Let's see how... I want to see how this plasma repeater works before I go. This is definitely not the same weapon the enemy was using against me. What? Okay, so they bonk each other on the head. Well, let's... guess I'll get started with it. Man, I am really not paying attention. Okay, let's maybe try not... let's try not to force it then. So I am putting myself in some danger here, but they are going to have their attention drawn elsewhere. Okay, so maybe this is my chance to show off the plasma repeater. And then finally the Sleipnir. So again, we want to be a little mindful of where, you know, where the various attacks are happening. So I think one I can get away with would be up here. Yeah, we're clear just in time. Unfortunately, I do tickle the... yeah. Inconvenient, but I think I can still accomplish mostly the same thing. Definitely have to do it earlier if I'm going to, though. Well, you know what? Let's not get too clever. Let's see what I can do. Yeah. Honestly, this is probably more experimental than anything this time around, so let's just see how it goes. I definitely should have double-checked to make sure that nobody was colliding with each other, but... okay, that was a disaster. So all the stuff I wanted to be paying attention to, I wasn't. Okay, so this unit's not doing anything this turn other than coming after the Sleipnir. That's a bit encouraging, actually. So here's what I'm gonna do. This unit's gonna start focusing on the tank instead. So we'll have just done our melee work. So I'll go out and around the side. Yeah, I'm a little disoriented from that last turn just because I wasn't focusing on what I needed to be. But it seems to me like I can at least get a melee strike in here. This unit should be fine to continue. In this case, I just kind of want to keep lobbing plasma as long as I can. Nobody's bothering them, so... Oh, it's not entirely true. Looks like there's a compact launcher coming after them, so this is not the best thing to do when you're overheating, but it's kind of necessary at this point, so... Well, I could just give up the... No. We'll go heavier. Okay, so it looks like everybody's kind of focused on the Sleipnir this turn, so we are going to take the scenic route. All right, works for me. If nothing else, just being able to get that tank out of the picture will help me sleep at night. I think it's fair to say I am not very impressed by this weapon. Okay, next up, I want to see how the melee works. Because we're basically... I'm going to treat this like we only have 3 mechs here. I don't think this this plasma repeater is delivering. Man. What happened to this weapon? Nothing's coming, getting through. All right, so this thing's getting sort of rumbled with the attacks. Looks like they want to attack the Sleipnir right away, so the best way to handle marksman is just to move. Now, lucky me, it looks like they're going to be attacking each other. So I'm just going to sit here and watch the adventure happen. Okay, so the missiles are going to be coming after me pretty much throughout the turn. So my best option here is just to sort of run around the building. Yeah, actually this will be a little silly, but... So what's the description of this thing? Experimental weapon firing heavy energized projectiles at medium range hits compromise target stability and make them more susceptible to crashes, even light units. Ah. Okay. I have an idea then. So I think we have been focusing on this shotgunner for the majority of the time. So let's carry on the faithful tradition. Or will carry on the faithful tradition. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take a big swipe gonna wait, which should also help with my heat. Then take a big swipe. So if that's gonna help with crashing, like if the plasma repeater is gonna help with crashing, presumably I should see it here. In the meantime, move the machine gunner up. Honestly, I think the best thing here is just to keep focusing on the marksman tank. Rest of this I think has already been handled, so. Okay, so we're no closer to knocking that pilot over than we were at the start. Although, nice concussion and heat, obviously. This guy's having a bad, bad day. Decelerating. Let's flank and finish them off. Okay. So 2 near our exit, and doesn't look like there's any other surprises on the map. So I have a few priorities this time around. I don't want the plasma repeater to get in the way of doing anything else. I think the first thing I want to do is see how much havoc the it looks like I can only get 2, but it's more than I thought I was going to get. Okay, next up, the big question here is, can I get away with any more attacks? Probably 1. Actually, what the better move would be, so if I move back like this, so I still get to focus on this target. And then the next step that I get to do is I get to hide behind this building right around the time that an enemy is going to be getting... Actually, maybe I want to go behind this building? Yeah, what I'm trying to do here is just cause more friendly fire. So the best scenario for me would be if I can somehow get my heavy... Yeah, see, they're not going to really be able to do what they need to in time here. I am still going to get them in position, though. So now, sort of for lack of any other options, we'll get the plasma repeater to join in the fun. I'll probably just move them off to the side in case... Yeah, that does look like that's going to be a crash. So even just getting tickled with a bit of shotgun is enough for this unit to get 7% concussion. Oh, that's amazing. Uh-oh. I might wind up crashing just because we launched this thing into my... Yep. Not good. Alright, well, as fun as that turn was, I'm gonna have to deal with some serious customers. So, what are we up against? Machine gun, plasma launcher, no more reinforcements, it looks like. Okay, so they're basically going to start pounding on me the second I get up, so we got to run around the corner as fast as we can. Next question, of course, is how quickly can I get my melee unit back in the fight? This is a little too early. God, I know I'm overheating, but can I really afford to have I'm probably gonna regret doing this, but actually, okay, hang on. Before I go completely crazy, start by seeing what happens. So if I move up and just do a good old vanilla machine gun them to death, yeah. So this is a completely viable option here. So I can definitely see me doing something melee here to like get myself out of the range of fire. It's like, let's say I try something like this. Okay, that should work. Unfortunately, it's a little too late. Excuse me. Yeah, excuse me. Okay, so if I just straight up say melee to escape hurt. This pilot's ejecting, so it's no longer a factor. I definitely need to cool this one down, so in this case... excuse me, we'll walk it out the rest of the way. Now, traditionally, the melee attacks have not been sufficient for taking out, like for stopping movement. So what I'm going to do is back up with the plasma repeater. Well, where I can, obviously. The mechs are kind of giving me the slip. Should probably move around the side here. Cool. So no damage on the Sleipnir. Good news there. We're definitely bringing the concussion up. This is promising. Oh. Just need a couple more. Down. Well, and the thing's gonna get blown up anyway. Okay, obviously we got this in the bag. I'm wondering what's causing all this damage on this plasma launcher. And maybe because they're like firing into the side of a building. Okay. So, this shotgunner has got is kind of the most staggered right now. So the ideal for me would be something like, yeah, that's a crash. So the thing is the longer they stay up, the kind of the more they get to recover from their adventures with me. So I think I'm going to position myself for another round. Now, this is a bit of a drawback here, right? Because there's 3 units that can potentially take me out next turn, which are going to be able to focus their attention on me. But the bit of good news right now is that everybody's too focused on the Sleipnir to care about anything else. So, question number 1. Am I in a position... I'm more or less in a position where I can be safe, but I'm curious if there's a way that I can make that even more certain. This is going to be a little dodgy, but... Nope, not high enough. I don't think I'm going to get here in the time that I need. It's a start. I mean... Looks like most of this turn's positioning, so... Okay, here's what I'm going to do with the Sleipnir. I'm going to sort of ride out most of the attacks in this building. Oh, interesting. Okay, they all kind of stop around the same time, so this may not be very effective. But let's see what happens. Okay, does anybody want to take out the melee unit? Doesn't look like it. Looks like everybody still hates the Sleipnir. All right. We will use that to our advantage. So it looks like this thing's recovering. It's kind of recovering its balance before I can really do anything to it. So we'll still chase it down and like try and hit it with a sword, obviously, but I'm just sort of managing my expectations. So as far as the Sleipnir is concerned, let's see. Okay, so they're firing at me right away. So what I want to try and do here is put myself amongst the buildings to sort of minimize the opportunities that they have to do some damage to me. Actually, better still, what if I had an opportunity to... So if I just... Okay, so if I wait... Okay, then I do that. It's as close as I'm going to get to... Okay, the problem is I get hit by the shotgun because there's this mech sitting in the way. How do I get around that? I don't really think there is a way to get around that. I think the best I can do is just dash away like this. Ooh, yeah, okay, and by that time I'm out of harm's way. Okay, cool. In the meantime, let's focus on... Rather inconveniently, they've chose to position themselves behind. Well, I guess I can try. Don't quite have the power. This doesn't really accomplish a whole lot. What this might do, though, is it might inspire the enemies to attack something else, and if I can get more fire drawn to the plasma repeater, that means my heavier attackers are able to sort of do what they do best. This is not the target I would prefer, but it's the target that I can go after right now, so. Alright, this is a bit of a mess, but it's kind of been a bit of a mess the whole time, so let's see how it goes. Okay. I might get hit in the back with the plasma launcher now. Okay, I'm very curious to see how this is going to turn out. What? What? I don't even know where that... Oh, man, that really annoys me. I don't even know where that plasma ball came from. So that's going to be some scrap we have to give up. So I do have a sidearm on the Sleipnir, but the Sleipnir is definitely considerably reduced in its capacity. And of course it's really low on its legs, so I want to be quite careful at the kinds of fights I'm willing to take on. So, first up, nobody's attacking the plasma repeater, so we are gonna basically just wherever I can do damage, I want to go for it. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to zip down because nothing else is in range. Okay, looks like the Sleipnir is sort of the favorite target again. In a perfect world, I would position it so that the AI will the AI will hit its own units. I am far from a perfect world right now, so I'm doing my best with what I've got, really. Okay, so that winds up hitting the side of a building. So in this case, you can see the we're giving up quite a bit by being up high. So in this case, we'll get into position. So really, there's only one person in a position to do anything this turn, and that's my melee unit, which is actually starting to get a little rough as far as its health is concerned. So we'll work sort of in parallel, and then when we can, we'll go in for a big... Oh, wow. I did not realize the cooldown was that. I mean, honestly, for what we're getting out of this setup, like, the melee strikes haven't really been, like, defining the play at all. All right, well, it's not ideal, but Stops me from destroying my own people. Okay, that's good news. So that's possibly 2 units off the board? Yeah. So now we just need to worry about the plasma launcher. Okay. So, who do they hate now? Okay, they're coming after the plasma repeater. That gives the Sleipnir a chance to get in close and... Nope, wrong target. Really? Out of range? I wasn't expecting that, but... So this unit's actually got a little bit of a trial ahead of it. I think it should be fine. I think we'll just leave them at leave the unit there though. So this is probably mostly going to hit the shield, but at this point I'm kind of just trying to maximize the damage output that's happening here. And then notice the... Actually, at this point, I think they've done enough. I think we're going to possibly pull them out if we can. There is no possible way that this is anything other than a collision. I don't know why the game is saying that it's not. Honestly, at this point, who cares about the heat? What the hell is going on? What is it shooting at? It's almost certainly gonna hit my own guy in a minute. Oh, that's a pain. I mean, if I'm gonna overheat, like, I kind of want to overheat for something worthwhile. Okay, so it looks like I'm destined to collide no matter what. Let's see if we survive it. So yeah, I mean, at this point here, my biggest damage dealer is my it's the machine gunner, which is currently the target. I do not want to take any chances with my team, so I may have to bring this unit in. Yeah, we'll hide them behind a building right now. I may have to bring that unit in just for the extra damage output, but I'm very reluctant to do that because we've already lost a right arm and a weapon. So yeah, this is definitely not what I had in mind, but it does what I want. So. Okay, who are they? Yeah, no surprise they're going after the Sleipnir. Fair enough. Welcome machine gun. And then obviously we... So the good news about these projectiles is they're slow moving, so we should be able to survive them. Uh-oh. Okay, I can't take anything for granted on that weapon anymore. I gotta get the Sleipnir out of here now too. So, my supremely irritated melee mech is coming in to ask what's taken so long. Let's... Yeah, that's definitely a safe spot for them. Okay, so we'll wait out the... Yeah, you know what? At this point, whatever damage I can do is worth it. Okay, so it seems to me probably the best... Yeah, this is the safest position. What?! Okay, so in this case they're defending themselves, which is good news for me. Actually, they're going to finish the defense right around the time that I kind of know the interactions that are causing something. So this has like a big area of effect attack. I'm really trying to make sense of like what does what on this particular unit. So basically we're going to empty the machine gun into the unit, and then right in time for them to raise their shield, we're going to hit them in the back with a sword. Obviously I want to get away from wherever the projectile's going anyway. So wait for them to finish here. Make sure our own unit's clear. Alright, it's over. I don't even want to imagine what caused that to happen. Sorry, that was a little bit of a mess at the end. That was fun. It got a little frustrating in a couple of ways just because I didn't know what I was working with, and I wound up losing some stuff as a result of it, but we're doing all right. So clearly we take all the Sleipnir parts. As is tradition, we try and grab as many greens and blues as we can. If I can, that... Okay, yeah, so already that plasma... We're going to have to give up something for that plasma. I am going to try and take it, though, so... Let's just see what it says. So shoots a very slow guided ball of charged energy that explodes in proximity to the target and deals large amounts of dispersed, regular, and concussive damage to groups of slower moving targets. Yeah, so same... Nothing new that we... haven't heard before. I really don't know what my machine gun is. I don't think it's worth it. Okay, so basically the question now is, of the stuff that I gotta give up. So clearly we can't give up the arm and the Astra. We don't have any replacements. So we do have 2 shotguns here. 2 shots versus 4, 229, 204. So this doesn't really inspire too much confidence. So I need to get another 20. See, the thing is, these lower bodies are actually quite helpful for me. If I scrapped the Ajax, then I would only need 10. There we go. Freedom! You have successfully liberated this province, and the people rejoice. The relief is palpable. One of your pilots wanders over to you as you watch the people dance in the streets. I know there's a lot more to do, she says, but shouldn't we celebrate the small victories? She and some of your other pilots would like to celebrate with the people. So I'm willing to give up the 9 hours, especially to get the fatigue. And I am going to let the repairs... Uh-oh! Celebrations might be cut short. It's a convoy, though. I don't know if convoys go aggressive. Anyways, I need to call it for tonight. Sorry, my apologies. I gotta check out something here, too. Ah, darn it. Okay. There is a little bit of a... Yeah, I just had something inconvenient come up. But I'm not going to let that kill the mood for the ending. So I'm sorry I was a little more scattered in terms of my delivery tonight. I'm contending with my health. There's mostly a sore throat, to be honest, so I know that probably didn't come across, but I'm still feeling a little foggy and such. As always, I appreciate you watching and sharing Phantom Brigade with me. If you have... Thanks, Carlo. For those of you who have not figured out what to do with any Christmas money that you might have gotten or other details, do consider picking up Phantom Brigade. That is currently on the Epic Store. It will come out to Steam when it goes to version 1.0. We don't have a date for that yet. And for those of you who are waiting for Steam, do keep in mind that Riley Koning's Bandcamp was linked above. I don't know if all of them are by donation. I think there's a couple that have a specific price tag, but I'm sure it's a great way for you to add some good music like this in your library. You might want to give it a listen ahead of time, just because I know it is a bit different from the way that it is inside of the game. But I think it all sounds great. I'm going to take a quick minute here and see who is online. I am planning on being back for Friday for Darkest Dungeon. Please do keep in mind that if I am not feeling well, that is, I generally wind up, sort of like trying to power through it, which is not always very good for me. And so... I will announce on stream or not on stream, on Twitter if I'm not feeling 100%. All right, let's see if there's anybody. Okay, nobody playing Phantom Brigade right now, so I am going to raid Brian on the Rocks. Brian on the Rocks is a game developer in Vancouver, but not one of the indie ones I know. Brian works in AAA. He is a developer at Respawn, formerly on Apex Legends, currently on the undisclosed project that they're currently working on right now. So please treat him well. He's currently playing Apex Legends, but definitely a very positive guy. One of his mods obviously doesn't like me and tries to make me feel really uncomfortable. So it is always kind of nice to give some support regardless. Don't let the mod... I'm not even going to tell you who the mod is. You'll just know. But Brian is a really positive guy who, despite the behavior, or the others' behavior, is definitely worth supporting, and that's why I'm going to continue to do that. But just a heads up, if there's an atmosphere, you should probably know ahead of time. I will see you all hopefully Friday. If I don't see you before then, have a very happy new year, and we will see you next time.